Have you ever noticed the paradox of artificial intelligence? The smarter it pretends to be, the easier it is to expose its weakness. These models speak with flawless confidence, like they know everything, but the moment you challenge them with a serious, real-world question, the mask slips. Instead of truth, you often get nonsense. Instead of clarity, confusion. Instead of trust, doubt. Here's the unsettling part: even the most advanced systems we celebrate today, yes, even GPT-5, still collapse under pressure. They hallucinate facts, misunderstand context, and often leave you guessing whether what you're reading is real or fabricated. That single flaw keeps them from being fully reliable. Imagine basing your business decision, your research, or even your career path on something that sounds right, but is completely wrong. That's the danger. But recently, a new system emerged that refuses to play by those broken rules. It's called Elisia, and it changes the game. Unlike most AI frameworks that cover up their mistakes with confident lies, Elisia is built to reveal its thought process. It doesn't just give you an answer, it shows you the reasoning step by step. And here's where it gets fascinating. It adapts how it displays information. Sometimes you get a table, sometimes product cards, other times a chart, or even a ticket-style breakdown. In other words, it doesn't force data into a single format. It adapts to how humans think. Oh, and did I mention, it's free, open source, and ready to run right now in Python. That means you don't need a billion-dollar lab to test it. Anyone can install it. Anyone can use it. In this breakdown, we'll explore why traditional retrieval-based AI has been failing us, how Elisia's unique architecture finally solves these problems, and why this open-source tool might be a glimpse into the future of transparent AI. Stick with me, because once you see what's inside, you'll never look at ChatGPT or Gemini the same way again. Section 2. The pain of current RAG systems. If you've ever tried building a retrieval augmented generation system, better known as RAG, you already know the frustration. On paper, it sounds simple. Load in your documents, connect to a large language model, and let the AI answer questions with your data. Easy, right? Except it rarely works the way you hope. 9 times out of 10, the results are a letdown. Instead of precise answers, you get vague summaries. Instead of useful context, you get hallucinated connections. And instead of a trustworthy assistant, you're left with a parrot that repeats whatever feels right mathematically, even if it's wrong. Why does this happen? Because most RAG systems are basically blind. They don't actually understand the data. They just grab vector embeddings, run a similarity search, and throw the results back into the model. It's like asking someone to find your lost wallet in a city by handing them blurry photos of sidewalks. Sure, they'll bring you something back, but probably not what you wanted. This is the root issue. RAG today is more guesswork than intelligence. And until now, nobody had truly fixed that. The team behind Elisia decided to attack the problem head-on. They didn't just wrap another layer around a language model. Instead, they built a framework that forces the AI to slow down, make structured decisions, and show its reasoning. It doesn't just scrape vectors, it maps relationships, understands the environment, and adapts on the fly. Think of it this way. Traditional RAG is like a driver navigating with no headlights, just hoping the road curves where they expect. Elisia turns on the lights. Suddenly, every twist, every turn, every dead end is visible, and that changes everything. In the next section, I'll show you the 3 pillars of Elisia that make it different. And trust me, once you see the first one, you'll understand why this system feels less like another chatbot and more like a true partner in reasoning. Section 3, Pillar 1, Decision Tree Architecture. Here's the first breakthrough. Instead of dumping dozens of tools on a large language model and telling it figure it out, Elisia organizes decisions into a structured web of nodes. Think of it like a branching flowchart where every node represents a possible action, and the AI knows where it came from, where it is, and where it can go next. That's huge, because in normal AI systems, each choice exists in isolation. The model grabs a tool or a dataset without any memory of context. But Elisia's decision tree is different. It carries awareness. It knows the path it has walked, the options still available, and the state of the current environment. In other words, it thinks before it acts, and the transparency is built in. Each step is visible. You can see what action it took, what failed, and what it tried next. Let's say you ask for car prices, but your database only has makeup products. A normal AI would invent car prices out of thin air. Elisia, it simply flags the request as impossible and moves on. That honesty alone is revolutionary. Another example, if a query pulls useless results, Elisia adjusts loosening filters, tweaking search terms, or trying alternative paths, and if it hits a technical error like a broken query or a missing connection, it doesn't spin in an infinite loop. It stops after a few attempts, reports the failure, and saves you hours of wasted compute. It's almost like talking to a human problem solver. Instead of bluffing when it doesn't know, it admits the limits, and that makes it far more reliable for anyone who actually depends on correct answers. But this is only the first pillar. The second one changes how you see information, and it might be the biggest leap forward in usability that AI has taken in years. Section 4, Pillar 2, Dynamic Data Display. One of the most frustrating parts of working with AI is how it delivers information. No matter what you ask, you almost always get the same thing, a block of text. Sure, sometimes that's fine, but if you're working with thousands of products, or a giant spreadsheet, or GitHub issues, a text blob is nearly useless. Elisia changes that. Instead of flattening everything into paragraphs, it adapts the format to fit the data. Ask it about e-commerce items. You'll see product cards with prices and details. Query GitHub, you get ticket layouts with proper issue tracking. Feed it spreadsheet data. Out comes a clean, sortable table. Right now, Elisia supports 7 main formats: generic text, tables, product cards, tickets, conversation logs, documents, and charts. But the potential doesn't stop there. The developers are already exploring extensions for hotel bookings, Slack thread displays, and interactive dashboards. Imagine not just reading data, but actively interacting with it through the AI. This is what separates Elisia from most so-called AI breakthroughs. It's not just about intelligence, it's about experience. Data that was once overwhelming becomes approachable. Complex structures become simple, and most importantly, you stay in control. But presentation alone isn't enough. A system this ambitious also needs to understand data at its core, not just dress it up. And that's exactly what the third pillar is all about. Section 5, Pillar 3, Data Expertise. Here's where Elisia feels less like a chatbot and more like a researcher. Before it even attempts to answer a question, it takes time to study your data. It samples collections, creates summaries, generates metadata, and maps out relationships between entries. That way, when you finally ask something, it already has a mental map of what exists. Contrast this with traditional RAG systems, which act like interns scrambling through a messy filing cabinet. They don't know what's inside, they just dig blindly and hope for the best. No wonder results are vague or irrelevant. By building expertise first, Elisia avoids those traps. It knows if data overlaps, if certain types repeat, or if a query is ambiguous. Instead of fumbling, it approaches the question with context and awareness, and this foundation makes all of its other features stronger. Personalized feedback, adaptive display, decision tree logic, all of it relies on Elisia's deep understanding of the data itself. Without that, everything else would collapse. Now this is the core framework, but it's only the beginning, because Elisia also packs in bonus features that make it smarter, faster, and more personal over time. Let's talk about those next. Section 6, Extra Features and Feedback System. Feedback is the holy grail of AI learning, but most systems get it wrong. You give a thumbs up or thumbs down, and maybe, the model tweaks something behind the scenes, but you rarely see any change. Elisia does it differently. Every user has their own feedback dataset stored directly in their environment. If you mark an answer as useful, Elisia saves it as a reference. Later, when you ask a similar question, it anchors its reasoning to the examples you liked. That means even smaller, cheaper models can improve over time, because they're trained on your preferences, not just the internet's noise. And here's the kicker, your feedback is private. It doesn't leak into anyone else's system, so personalization actually means personal, not blended with 1,000 other users' clicks. Elisia also reimagines document chunking, a nightmare for anyone who's worked with RAG. Instead of pre-splitting everything into random blocks that waste storage, Elisia uses chunk on demand. First, it searches whole documents. If one looks relevant, but too long, only then does it split into smaller sections. Future queries reuse those chunks, saving both space and time. Even better, Elisia routes different tasks to different models. Simple questions, a lightweight model; complex reasoning, a heavy hitter like Gemini or GPT-4. This balancing act cuts costs while keeping performance high. All of these features layer together, creating something far greater than a chatbot with plugins. This is a framework that grows with you. But how hard is it to set up? Let's dive into that next. Section 7. Setup and architecture. For something this advanced, you might expect a nightmare install, but Elisia's setup is surprisingly straightforward. One command: pip install Elisia A, and you're in business. From there, you run a simple start command. Open the Settings tab, connect to your data source, drop in your API keys, and choose a model provider. That's it. You're live. Want flexibility? You can create multiple configs and swap between clusters or providers. Want to skip the UI and just use code? Import Elisia directly into Python and build your own decision trees with decorators. For developers, the documentation even comes with sample import scripts and schema definitions. Behind the scenes, Elisia runs as a modern web app. The front end is static HTML, served by fast API, so there's no need to spin up a separate server. The back end is pure Python, custom logic written for transparency and control. For retrieval, it uses vector search, hybrid queries, and cross-references to power features like chunk on demand and conversation history. There's even a built-in Data Explorer UI that shows unique values, min-max ranges, and object relationships in real time. And yes, you can literally watch the decision tree grow as the AI reasons. That's not just useful, it's mesmerizing. Of course, Elisia is still in beta, but even now it feels like one of the most carefully designed frameworks available for anyone serious about AI. And that leads to one final question: will it become the standard? Section 8. Closing. Elisia isn't just another wrapper around a large language model. It's a complete rethink of how AI should reason, display, and personalize. By combining decision trees, adaptive formatting, and deep data expertise, it solves problems that GPT-5 and other giants still struggle with today. But here's the cliffhanger: will it actually catch on? History shows us that not every breakthrough survives. Some frameworks change the world, others fade into obscurity. Right now, Elisia is free, open source, and available for anyone to try. But in a year, will we look back and see it as the turning point, or just another interesting experiment? That's the question I'll leave you with. What do you think? Could Elisia become the blueprint for AI's future, or will the industry ignore it in favor of bigger, shinier models? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Make sure you're subscribed if you want more deep dives into tools that matter, because the AI world is moving fast, and missing the right moment could mean the difference between falling behind or staying ahead. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.